Candice, hi. Welcome to
Hey,
the podcast.
thank you so much for having me.
Okay, so great. You guys, so I've talked to Candice a little bit via Instagram. Shout out to Amy Berry for connecting us. Thank you, Amy. Love you so much. And yeah, just all the things, you guys. Candice, her heart just for Jesus and for his people is so beautiful. She has an amazing story, and just her heart to give, you guys, is beautiful. It's so beautiful. And I know we'll talk about this later, but she's got this really great book. And she has been like kind enough to allow us to put that in our butterfly boxes for 1212. And so it's just like this added bonus, and added encouragement. So again, she's got a super giving heart. She loves the Lord, loves her family, loves God's people. And I'm just excited for you guys to be able to meet her today. So hi, Candice.
Hi, that was a beautiful introduction. Thank you.
You are so welcome.
Oh,
All true. All true.
oh,
I'm so
thank
grateful
you.
for
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah, really grateful. Okay, so before we just jump in, like tell everybody a little bit about you and just all the things.
Okay, so all the things. The first thing is I'm a homeschool mom, and that like takes all my time and my priorities. And so
Yeah.
it was not a choice at first. COVID happened.
Hmm.
But then it just went so well, and the kids love it, and I have a degree in education, so it works.
Yeah.
And it has really been a great season to get to spend the time with my kids that I would have. Oh, I was like the mom who like loved the 8 hours they were gone. But
Yes.
now, and but God has really just been working on my heart and changing just all the things, and really it's been a true, true, true blessing. So that's super exciting.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. And then when I'm not doing that, I am a teacher for community college. I blog every week, and I've written 3 books, and I have a children's book coming out this spring. Hopefully it's like in
Yes.
the works, and just travel around and speak some. And it's been amazing. God somehow makes the time for all the things. Sometimes it's
Yes.
like insomnia, but I somehow wake up in the morning and I'm fine. So blends it in. So yes.
That spoke right to my heart. That's why I giggled. I was like, "Yes, that
Yeah.
is it." Yeah.
Sometimes I legit wake up in the middle of the night and I don't know why I'm awake. And then I'm awake for a couple hours. And so then I just work on content from the bed, which is probably horrible. I should not pick up my phone and just go back to sleep. But like I'll have something in my head and I have to get it out.
Yeah,
And so
you
then
have to
I'll
get it out.
work on things, and then I'll be up till 3, but then I'll wake up at 7 and I'm still fine.
Yeah.
Somehow. I mean, I couldn't do that every day, but just
Yes.
like honing in, like when it happens, just really just being like, okay, God's got something for me. And this is the only time it's quiet. So I'm going to
Right?
take
Yeah,
advantage and use it.
exactly.
So
Because he speaks to us, in so many different ways.
yes,
And yeah.
yes, yes.
And so I love that you are in tune just to the spirit and just like, okay, wait, this is my time. I'm gonna take it. Beautiful.
Yes.
Okay, well, Candice, because we did connect, kind of on this like infertility, child loss, you know, um, in the community. And so I would love to just, talk about that. And if you wanted to share just, a little bit of your story, I definitely wanted to make space for that as well.
Sure. Oh, it's so hard to share my story, right? Because there's
Yeah.
all these floating parts and elements to it that it's always hard to pick exactly what to share.
Hmm.
So I will try to be brief. Time me. No, just kidding. Okay, so our son Alexander was born in 2006 with an undiagnosed congenital heart defect. He was life flighted a couple hours away from where we were living and had to have open heart surgery when he was 6 days old. All of this was like a real whirlwind because we had no idea what was going on, what was wrong with him. And we were super young and naive. My husband and I had our 1 year anniversary, wedding anniversary at the hospital the
Oh,
day
wow.
before, no, a few days after his surgery. So
Hmm.
just kind of crazy. And a lot of different things happened. And my husband and I were very clear with the doctors and the staff that we wanted to prolong his life, but we did not want to prolong his death because that's a very fine line.
Mm. Yeah.
And we didn't want him to suffer just because we selfishly wanted to hold on to something that was not going to be.
Yeah.
And things were really, really bad for many weeks, and it was really hard. And it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And lots of very clear things. God was very, very, very close, because I would pray specific things and I would see answers in them, or I would pray for an answer and I would get an answer. And the biggest answer was no. I asked for healing. I asked him to heal him.
Yeah.
And the answer was no. But he gave me this incredible peace in the no. And I'm thankful for my relationship with him before this situation, because I'd already, back then it was 2006. There was no Bible app, and there was no like Googling on your phone. There was none of that. So I didn't have any access to scripture, because I just really rushed there and just grabbed a few things, except for what I had memorized in college when I was a young life leader. And so, man, just having that in my head and being able to write down scripture and worship songs that I knew and just writing them down, I really felt that God had just surrounded me with peace and wisdom. And this, it's just crazy to think that I heard no and I was okay.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
ooh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I didn't even tell anybody, because I was afraid that other people would think I had given up. But I hadn't given up. I just knew that each day was a day to learn more and to love him more. And it was just a blessing. So in the end, the staff did finally say, like, we think it's time, and he's not going to come back from this. And lots of organs had started to fail and different things. And so we did remove him from life support when he was 7 weeks old. And we had prayed several prayers the night before, asking for very specific things, like, so when we walked in the door, we would know we were doing the right thing, and that his death would be peaceful, because they had told us, they prepared us with things that could happen. And both of those were answered. And so just very blessed by that. But we didn't have community. Like, it wasn't like it is now, we didn't have anyone to talk to, and we didn't see a therapist, which we probably should have. But, our marriage made it, and we just kept pushing through. And about 3 years after he passed, I kept hearing God telling me I was supposed to write a book, but I was not writing a book. Like, this, God, okay, no. So I kept saying no for years and years and years. And I kept hearing it over and over again. And one day, a friend, she has a blog called Mumbling Mommy, and she asked me to be a guest. And so I shared my story, and I was like, all right, God, I wrote it down. And then he was like, no. And no. And I ran for 10 years. And I said, no, I don't want to do this. That's hard. That's vulnerable. And I don't want to do that. And so I said no for 10 long years. And then finally, when I thought he was no longer going to ask me to do it, because I could kind of heard silence on that end for a while, and I finally thought he got me, it was very clear, like, multiple things happened. And I was like, I have to do this. So I sat down and I did it, and I got it out in like 3 months. And then I said, okay, it's finished. We can, like, close that chapter, close that door. And I said, but I'll walk through any door you open. And that was my mistake, because then he was like, oh, okay.
Yes.
3 days later, someone asked me to speak, and I was like, I am not ready to speak. And it's just been a whirlwind since then. And each time that I feel like I cannot do this, God says, you can't, but I'm going to help you get there. And he pushes me to do it. And then I do it. And then it's another thing and another thing. And, it's just, here we are.
Yeah. Candice, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. I really do appreciate it. There was like so many things, though, that you said in there. Is just, you heard no, and you had to keep going,
Yes.
And then also it was just like the Lord opened up, really gifts that that maybe were lying dormant inside of you, and kind of, open that up just for you, to use your gifts and your talents, and to be able to share your story. And that takes courage.
Yes.
So thank you.
Well, I think for me, it's knowing that like there's other people that are feeling the same things that I felt after losing Alex. All
Yes.
those, I mean, you feel everything. You feel anger, you feel shame, you feel depression, you feel joy, but then you're afraid to feel joy. I mean, there's like so many things. And I think you just feel alone and no
Hmm.
one truly understands you. And I don't want anyone else to feel alone. And I
Yes.
just felt like God was telling me, why not you? Why don't you
Hmm.
help be a voice? So, and the more voices there are, the more we can feel like a community.
Absolutely. Oh, so good. I'm like, oh, I love that. Just joining together, and just being in community. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, but I would love, I really, really, really want you to talk about this. Is just, because we were chatting about this, you guys, before we hit record, of really just, finding hope after
Mm-hmm.
loss, and just finding hope, first of all, after loss is a choice,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and then Candice, talk about that for a second. It
Okay.
is just, what do you mean by it's a
It's a
choice?
choice. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, we have choices all around us. We have
Yeah.
choices every single day. We are making thousands and thousands of decisions every single day, even if it's choosing to wear your shoes in the house, as we talked about before.
Yes.
That's a choice, right? Or am I going to drink this cup of coffee, or am I going to drink the water that I should be drinking?
Yeah.
Choices. So we make choices. And grief is so overwhelmingly hard.
Hmm.
And I always say, like, my number one advice is to get out of bed and then to make your bed. Because when you
Yes.
make your bed, you're not going to get back in bed because it's a lot
Yeah.
harder. Like, no one wants to unmake their bed to get back in. Do you know what I'm saying? But if it's
Yeah.
unmade and you walk by, it looks really good. And so you might want to get back in, especially
Hmm.
when you're depressed and you're going through grief. Like, it's so
Yes.
easy to stay in bed. And I just
Hmm.
challenge you to not stay in bed, to get up, to make the choice to get up. So that's the first thing. You have to choose to find hope. But the way that we choose to find hope is through Jesus. Because I'm going to tell you,
Yes.
I was angry. My faith was so strong when he was here. And then when Alex died, I was angry, like overwhelmingly angry at God that he allowed this to happen. I had felt like I did all these things for you. I was a leader in college, like bringing kids to Christ. I wasn't out drinking and doing all these things, and you do this to
Yeah.
me? Like, it was like I thought we had a deal. If I'm
Yeah.
good, you'll be good to me. But
Yeah.
that's not how it works. He doesn't
Hmm.
promise a life without suffering. He doesn't promise a life that you won't have to endure something hard. That's not promised to us. It's not how it works. And so for me, I always think about the story of Peter walking on water. It's one of my favorite stories, really, when I think about Alex and grief, because Peter had a choice. He sees
Hmm.
this guy walking. It's, first of all, it's storming. The waters are churning up, and they believed at that time, they had no way to determine how deep it was. They actually believed the underworld was under them. And so when they see something that looks like a ghost, they think that actually could be a
Yeah.
ghost. Like,
Hmm.
there's real fear here. And I think we all have these fears when we're struggling and going through something like child loss. It's a real struggle and there's a lot of fear, but God asks us to come out of the boat and to walk on water. And you will walk on water as long as you're looking at Him. But as soon
Yes.
as you look
Amen.
around and notice all the things and all the whys and all the why me and why not and why, those are going to become overwhelming, and you will drown. You will drown. And I was drowning. I was truly drowning. And it wasn't until I realized that I was drowning and the only thing that was going to pull me out was putting up my hand and asking God to pull me up. That was the only thing. have vivid memories, and I talk about this in my book because I think we don't talk about it enough, of really thinking of ending it all. Just what am I even here for?
Yeah.
And it was God who pulled me out of that 100%. And so I think, but the beauty of that is it's a choice, because I could have chose to not. I could have chose to not. He wasn't going to make me, but it's a choice. And so I want to encourage everyone that hope is behind that choice, first of all. Yes. And then you have to do the work. Like, if you need a therapist, go to a therapist.
Right.
You journal, read books of other moms who've been through it so that you're not alone. Find that one friend that I have this beautiful friend who has also experienced child loss. And I was having just a day. I mean, it's been 16 years, but I still have a day sometimes. And it was just raining out. So of course that makes me feel all sad anyway. And I had been crying, and I went to pick up my daughter from dance, and I was still crying. And I was supposed to speak to a group of 200 women that week on hope, right? And I was like, I get in her car and I close the door and I'm like, I am just so mad. And she said, like any woman would say, what did Brandon do? My husband, what did he do? Like, and I said, it's not him. And I just started like vomiting all these things that I'd been holding in, like that I was angry. And why did he allow this to happen? Because even though I have hope and I choose Jesus, it doesn't mean that every day there's not something that might pull me away. Right. And so anyway, after I got it out, she just said, and I said, how am I supposed to share with all these ladies about hope when I don't even have hope? We start self-doubting. And she said, I think Satan just doesn't want you to speak to these women. And I was like, she said, you have hope. You're having a hard day.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. But you need someone. You need to find one person that you can be that person with. You can't hold it all in.
100%.
So do the work. Say yes to Jesus. That's your number one. And then do the work.
So good. I'm like so energized right now. I'm like, yes, Jesus. I'm going to put in the work.
That's right. You have to put in the work. Ugh.
Okay, Candice.
Yes.
Really quick. But I know that woman though, that's out there. She's listening and she's just like, but I'm drowning. I just is just really, really struggling right now. What words of encouragement can you share?
Make your bed.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. Make your bed and just keep your eyes on the source, which is Jesus. Like, you keep your eyes on him, nothing that comes in your way, you're not going to drown from it. You just have to keep your eyes on him. And it is hard. It's not easy. Yeah. And someone who tells you that it's easy hasn't been through what we've been through. It is not easy. It's hard, but it's worth it. It's worth it. So worth it. And this is the other thing. This is what I always think about. You, me, we were all chosen to be the moms of our babies. God could have chosen anyone to love our babies, but he chose us. Doesn't matter if they were in your womb for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 7 weeks. It doesn't matter if they were here on this earth for however many weeks, years. You were still chosen to love that child for the amount of time that you were given. And I think when I look at it from that perspective, that he picked me to be his mama, that he could have picked anyone, but he chose me. And I love that. I love that I get to be his mom.
Why am I crying? Oh my goodness.
Because you were picked too.
Oh man.
You were picked
too. Thank you so much for sharing that. I felt like you were talking to me.
I was talking to you.
Oh my heart. Candice, I am just so grateful for you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I am so encouraged. I'm so inspired. It was a beautiful reminder to just keep my eyes fixed on Jesus. And so I know that our listeners today just were so blessed. And so thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Candice, tell everybody really quickly though, like where can they find you online? Where can they get your book? All of the things.
I feel like I'm all over. Okay. I have a website that I blog every week, CandiceDelou.com. I have an Instagram, a Facebook. You can find all those things from that page. So if you can remember that and go there, then you'll be good. You can find the rest. And then Hope and Healing Hearts is the organization that we started solely so that for every book we sell, we can get it back in the hands of moms who've lost children. And we partner with great organizations like 12 Foot Ministries.
Ooh.
So it's awesome. If you know a ministry that could use the books, let me know, because that's what we're doing is we're just trying to get these out. We know that through organizations, we can affect a lot more people than if I were to just hand them out individually.
Yeah. So awesome. You guys, we are going to include all of that in the show notes. So make sure that you check it out and grab the book. Candice, you are amazing. Love you, sweet friend.
Thank you.